Hi friends, Kelly Nelson here. It's a gloomy Friday in Portland, coming to you live at 2 p.m. Today we're going to do a feel-good flow to wrap up the week. I missed you guys on Wednesday. That weather just wrecks me sometimes. I was a little bit sick with a migraine, but I'm happy to be back with you guys. So come on down onto the floor. Give yourself a little bit of open space, some soft, comfy clothes, and we're just going to do about a half an hour, a nice, feel-good flow. So this is a good one for anybody who is a beginner, anybody who has been wanting to try out Pilates, but maybe is intimidated and thinks that maybe it's too difficult. Start where you are. And it's just going to be a really basic flow. It's also great for those who have been doing Pilates just to focus back on the basics and the fundamentals and just to get deeper. The exercises don't get easier, you get better at doing them. So you can just give yourself that good quality, deep movement through those fundamental exercises that we all know and love. So if you're new, welcome. So excited for you. Don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated. We're going to get you out of here feeling awesome and ready to start out your weekend. So we're going to start out by lying down on our backs and knees bent, feet down flat on the floor. Just rest your head. So from here, we're going to start practicing with our breathing, and this is really, really important right now, more than ever. We want to be able to take some time to just be still and take some nice deep breaths. So just allow your feet to be nice and wide. If you've got a mat, you'll want to have those feet maybe the same width as your mat. So even wider than your hips, even wider than your shoulders. And we're going to walk those feet away from your tush so that your knees are bent, your feet are flat on the floor, but your hip flexors are nice and open. So if your feet are really close to your hips right now, let's just walk those feet forwards, walk those feet out so that you're nice and open with your hip flexors and your lower back is still feeling supported on the floor. And then we're going to take our hands and just rest them gently on our rib cage so that the heels of the hands rest gently towards the outside of the rib cage and the fingertips are kind of cradling those inner borders of the rib cage as they come in and connect at the base of your chest bone, your sternum. And we're just going to use those hands as a physical tactile guide for our breath. So we're going to relax the muscles in the face and the jaw. Take an inhale through the nose, feeling those ribs expanding into the palms of your hands. And then exhale, feeling those ribs melting away. Inhale, feeling the ribs expand. And exhale, feeling those ribs melt away. So we're just going to take a minute or so to feel that really nice deep breath. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose and the mouth. Flushing all of that air out so that we can take a nice big breath in again. Bring some awareness to any tensions or resistance you're feeling within your body, especially that within the upper body in that area of the breath. And trying to allow that tension to melt away as we exhale. Filling those ribs with that inhale. And melting away with the exhale. Let's take a second just to walk our shoulders down away from those ears, creating a little bit of length in the neck. And now we're going to focus on taking a little bit deeper of a breath, not only feeling the belly rise up, but we want to feel the ribs fill with air and stretch outwards. And we want to feel that breath stretch into our back as well. Now the mat is a little bit in the way of that here, but you can feel that stretch come all the way around the rib cage in the sides and the back of the body and the front of the body. And then just melting away with that exhale. And you can start to feel your hands moving out with inhale. And maybe gently guiding those ribs back inward and down toward the belly button with that exhale. Feeling expansion with inhale. And melting with exhale. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Maybe gently pulling on those inner borders of the ribs to feel a little more expansion out to the sides rather than just upwards. And then feeling that contraction of the ribs as we exhale, coming back into the center, coming down toward the belly button. And 1 more breath just like that with the hands on the ribs, feeling the sides and the back of the body. Coming all the way into that deep inhale, feeling that stretch. And exhale, feeling that melting away. Now we're going to slide our arms so that our palms are down onto the thighs. And just walk shoulder blades underneath the back. Let the shoulders melt back into the mat so that we feel nice and flat underneath our shoulders and our upper back. So we don't want to squeeze the shoulder blades. We just want to relax the back, feeling as much of that upper back melting into the floor as possible. And then we're going to make a fist and stick those thumbs out. Now we're going to reach our arms straight out onto those thighs. Try to press the back of the shoulders into the mat again. And now we're going to use some support from our upper abdominals. So take an exhale. Feel those ribs tightening in a little bit. Feel the belly pulling in and down towards the floor. And then we're going to stretch those arms straight out. Start lifting them up. And slide the shoulders and shoulder blades down away from the ears as we lift the arms up and over. Just to the point where you feel like you're going to lose the abs and the rib engagement, or if you feel like you want to lift your shoulders up towards your ears, don't do that. Stop the arm movement and come right back up, right back over, and we'll do it again. Flatten the shoulders underneath the body, and we're going to exhale to tighten the tummy. Inhale to reach the arms up, shoulders and shoulder blades way down the back. And exhale, bringing that back up and over. If you want a little bit more range of motion and you could easily touch the floor with the thumbs, go flat palms down onto the thighs to start. Again, really straight arms, shoulders and shoulder blades down. And now you're going to try to touch the back of the hand into the floor. And we'll do about 4 more times here, reaching up and over. Again, stopping when you need to arch up. You don't want to lose that engagement in the abs. Don't want to lose that engagement in the shoulder stabilizers. You're feeling some work here in the side of the body and all wrapping through those abs. Doing this with both arms. Keeping those shoulders down away from the ears as you lift up. Again, keeping those elbows nice and straight. And let's go for 2 more here. Again, you could be with your thumbs pointing out if you need that extra reach with the thumbs, or to get a little more range, reaching with the back of the hands, keeping those ribs tucked in the top of the body, but getting your breath going into the side of your ribs. That's why we practice that breath moving into the sides and the back of the ribs so that you can keep your abs tight in the front, and you can take your breath coming into the side of your body and the back of your body while keeping the front, those abdominals nice and engaged, nice and tight. And exhale, coming back over. Now we're going to pause the arms at vertical here. We're going to turn the palms to face each other. We're going to walk those shoulders down away from the ears again. And now we're going to just go opposition. Still sliding shoulder blade down the back as one arm lifts up. We're not going to go quite as far this time. And then we're going to switch. And switch. And just let those arms flow. This opposition arms is just starting to unwind some tightness that might have developed in your upper spine from hunching over that computer or the tablet or cell phone. And 3 more times here. Still trying to breathe into the side of those ribs. And then from here, we're going to bring those arms back up. And again, turn the palms to face away from each other. Press the shoulders down once more. Now bending elbows out to the sides. So I've got a 90-degree bend with my elbows. My hands are directly above the elbows. And the elbows are right out in line with my shoulders. And then from here, I'm just going to press my elbows into the floor and start to feel my chest expand upwards, my upper back squeezing a little bit, isometric, so not a lot of movement, but just a tightness, and holding that tightness. And then exhale and release the press of the elbows. Inhale, pressing with those elbows as the chest expands upwards. That upper back feels a nice tight squeeze. Exhale, release. And we're going to do that one more time. Feeling the chest expand upwards with an inhale. Pressing the elbows down, feeling the upper back tighten. Head is still on the floor. And exhale, release. From here, just let the back of your hands fall back on the floor. We're going to do one more shoulder movement here. Try to maintain contact with the back of your hands, your forearms, your elbows, your upper arms, all contacting onto the floor, your shoulders. And we're just going to slide those arms straight up, trying to straighten out your elbows, but not letting your shoulders lift up towards your ears. And then maybe bending back out to that goalpost or cactus shape. And we're going to do that 4 more times. Engage those abdominals. Keep the ribs tucked in. Keep that nice flatness across the shoulders and the upper back. And then reaching those elbows wide out to the sides again. And 3. Trying to keep those elbows and forearms down on the floor. My left side is not so cooperative today. You can see it coming off of the floor. I've got a little injury in my shoulder. It makes it really difficult. And we have one more time here. So I'm really diligent about keeping my shoulder blades from moving around, not lifting them, keeping them nice and flat. My elbow comes up a little bit. I'm trying to have your elbow stay down on the floor throughout that whole exercise. And then we'll just relax the arms down by our sides here. Now we're going to move into the pelvic tilt, which is a really fundamental part of Pilates. So anterior tilt, meaning that your hip bones are tilting forwards anteriorly of your pubic bone. So if we were standing upright, that would be the orientation that we're talking about. But we're just going to flip this on its butt, literally, since we're lying on the floor. So the hip bones are tilting higher than the pubic bone. That's our anterior tilts. And then our posterior, or our back tilt, flattening the sacrum, is when we tilt reversed and scooping the belly, feeling the glutes squeezing a little bit. Inhale, tilting anterior or forward tilting, feeling that sacrum lift off the floor, the tailbone tilting into the floor. And exhale, tilting that sacrum back into the floor. The tailbone starts to tilt away from the floor. Inhale, anterior tilt. Exhale, posterior tilt. And in between those 2 points, we pass through our neutral pelvis, which is the natural position that the pelvis should be in from day to day in good, ideal posture. We're going to do this a few more times, and then we're going to find that halfway, that neutral pelvic position. So we're just feeling all of those muscles in the lower trunk, the lower back, the glutes starting to warm up and get active. Especially trying to feel those glutes get active, because sometimes if we've been sitting on them all morning, all day, they're not very active. They've kind of fallen asleep. So sometimes it actually helps to give them a little squeeze with your hands, or to use your foam roller or a massage tool to actually tactile manipulation of those glute muscles and give them a little wake up before you start doing your lunges or your workout, your exercises. Even before walking too, it's a good idea to get those glutes waking up and actually doing the work they're supposed to be doing when you're walking. Now we're going to move into the bridge. So we have our neutral pelvis. We have halfway in between that forward and that backward tilt. And in neutral pelvis, the hip bones and the pubic bone should be at the same height, making a parallel plane to the floor. And then we're just going to roll our shoulders back, and we're going to turn our palms to face upwards here. So for our bridge, we want our feet to be closer together. We want our knees to be a little bit more bent. So we're going to start with our knees all the way together, our feet all the way together. And this is how I like to find a nice neutral position for the feet. I like to lift the toes, turn them outwards, and allow the knees to separate as well as the toes turn outwards. And you're just going to turn those toes out as much as you can do so kind of naturally without forcing it, just as much as your legs will rotate on their own. And then once you get to that V shape, place the toes down, then just lift those heels up, shift them out right behind the toes, lower them down. So from there, you probably have a pretty hips distance separation between your feet and your knees. And that is going to be your neutral hips distance stance. And you can do that in a standing position as well. So we have our nice open palm position, the shoulders rolling back into the mat, and we've kept our neutral pelvis so far. Now we're going to go into our bridge. So from our neutral pelvis, we have our feet flat. We're going to scoop the belly and come into posterior tilt. Remember that one? The lower back flattens, the glutes start to squeeze, the tailbone tilts upwards, and we're going to continue to peel the sacrum up, pushing into those feet, scooping the belly towards the spine as we roll one vertebra at a time up into that bridge. Take an inhale here. Feel that air filling into the side of the ribs like we did at the beginning. And then exhale, dropping the chest bone down first and sequentially rolling like a wave, one vertebra at a time. Almost like the bottom of a rocking chair, how it only has a very small section that is making contact with the floor at a time. Inhale, we're going to come all the way to that anterior forward tilt. And then exhale, scooping the belly, squeezing the glutes, tilting back again. And as we roll up on this next bridge, be aware of your knees. Don't let them fall outwards. We're keeping a little inner thigh action here, lifting up through the pelvic floor, the belly pulling into support. Inhaling at the top of that bridge. and exhaling to roll it down. Now the Pilates bridge is different than the yoga bridge in this sense that the shoulders are going to be the lowest point and the rib cage is always going to stay tucked in. You're not flaring the ribs out like that back extension in yoga. This is a spinal articulation and a spinal movement in Pilates where we try to curve and flow through the spine nice and smooth. And then when you're in your bridge, you'll see pretty much a diagonal line. The shoulders through the chest, and then the hips, and then the knees are at that highest point. Whereas in yoga, you'd probably see the chest flared up a little bit higher. We want to keep that chest pretty low. And then we're rolling back down through that bridge, all the way down. Tilting forwards for your inhale. As we exhale, scooping, rolling back up, tilting the tail up, scooping that belly and peeling into that low bridge. Those inner thighs still engaged. Inhaling at the top. Exhaling to peel back down all the way. And we'll do that one more time. Tilting forwards to inhale as you prepare. Exhale, scoop and tilt back, curling up into that bridge. Inhale to pause in that bridge. And exhale, dropping through the chest bone first. And then deepening the belly button. And then rolling the sacrum and the tail. And then we're going to find our neutral position again. Hip bones and pubic bone making that nice flat plane parallel to the floor. And then we're going to bring the left leg to tabletop. So the knee is a 90-degree bend, and it comes right above your hip. And then flex your ankle. Now, if you notice your left hip feels a little heavier now than your right hip, let's just shift a little bit more weight into that right hip, kind of anchor and kind of bear down into that right hip a little bit. And make sure that you have that neutral, hip bones and pubic bone all aligned. Inhale to lower that thigh away from you just a few inches, and then back up. And paying attention to that pelvic position the whole time. We want to keep the neutral as we open through the hip joint, flexing to come back up. Inhale and exhale to lift. Deep breaths. We have 4 more. And 3. And last 2. And 1 more. And then replacing that left foot. Try not to let the pelvis rock or shift as we switch legs, bringing the right leg up to tabletop, flexing that ankle. If you have felt a shift or if you feel a little uneven, let's fix that. Feel the right and left hip bones aligned with the pubic bone in our nice neutral position. Reaching down, supporting with the arms. Let's roll the shoulders back a little bit. Flexing that right ankle, and then we'll come into our heel taps. Or rather, maybe not lowering that heel all the way down just yet, but maybe going a few inches at first. Making sure you can keep that neutral pelvis. And you don't have to go super far, but you can go a little bit further if you feel like you can keep that nice neutral pelvic position. Breathing in to lower and breathing out to lift. We have 3 and 2 and 1 more time. And we'll float that foot all the way back down. Immediately lifting the left one back up again. Anchor your tailbone down a little bit extra here, like feeling a little bit of your sacrum, your tailbone pressing heavily into the floor, not pushing into your feet, because now we're going to switch and alternate. And so if you keep your feet very light on the floor, keeping a lot of that work and stability in the pelvic muscles, you won't feel too much shifting as you switch your legs. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. And exhale, lift. My trick here is once one foot goes down, that thigh sinks heavily into its hip joint to stabilize as you float the other leg up, because then that leg is not on the floor to support. And then as that leg floats down, think about the thigh sinking into the hip joint, feeling heavy into the floor as you lift the other leg. Let's go for 4 more switches. Feeling both feet flatten onto the floor, and then lifting that second one. Inhale, feeling both feet flatten. Exhale to lift. And last 2. And relax it here. And then let's just let those legs shake out a little bit. All right, we're gonna get our abdominals warming up a little bit, our upper abdominals. Generate a little heat in the body. So, this is really important. We're going to try to isolate upper abdominals without letting the pelvis move around. I see a lot of people letting their pelvis move around when they're doing sit-ups. We're going to try to use those pelvic stabilizing muscles that we've just warmed up to keep that area nice and stable as we're doing some flexion with our upper spine. So we're finding our neutral pelvic position. So you can do a couple tilts. That's my favorite way of just kind of getting a little bit more movement down there. Finding your forward tilt, finding your posterior tilt, and then finding that neutral halfway in between, feeling equal from right to left. And then we're going to take our hands, interlace the fingers, reach them behind the head and the neck. And then we want those elbows lifted up slightly so you can see them in your peripheral vision. Shoulder blades walking down the back. And we want that head to stay heavy in the hands. So we're going to move very, very slow with these sit-ups or chest lifts, because we're just going to lift till the shoulder blades come off the floor if you can. Moving with the same length as your breath. Take an inhale to prepare. And exhale to lift the head and chest up. So feeling the hinge come from under the chest area. Now, as you pause and take your inhale, check out your pelvic position. Have you flattened into your sacrum like this? Try to tilt forwards a little bit here. And then exhale to lower back down with your head. Try to keep your pelvis in neutral. Take a nice deep breath in to prepare. Exhaling to lift. Now try to keep your pelvis in neutral as you lift. So if you feel like you flatten automatically, maybe do a counter movement. Do a little forward tilt as you lift. That way you won't be prone to tilting backwards. Inhale as you hold your lift. And exhale to lower down slowly. Take your big, deep inhale to prepare. Exhale to lift. So try to be moving the whole time. Move very slowly the whole duration of that exhale. You're holding your inhale. And you're lowering for your exhale. We're going to do 2 more times. Big inhale to prepare. Exhale to lift. The chin stays away from the chest, the same as it started. This whole upper piece is moving together. That last exhale to float back down. And one more time, a big inhale, prepare. Exhale, slowly floating up, peeling those shoulder blades off the floor without dumping the head and chin forwards. Taking your inhale. And exhale, floating back down. Gorgeous. Now let's get a little thoracic mobilization. Roll to your side, tuck your knees up to your chest. We're going to reach our top arm forwards. And then moving with your whole upper body, we're just going to rotate around, move your shoulder, move your chest, change your head position to look up towards the ceiling. But make sure that your top leg hasn't slid around. You want both knees stacked exactly one over the other. And then you can slowly come back over onto your side. And we'll do that 2 more times. Reaching around, making sure your chest is opening up towards the ceiling. You could even just rest your hand on your belly and twist your body without moving your arm if that extended arm bothers your shoulder. The extended arm actually acts as a chest stretch and a little extra weight to that lever, so that can be making that a little more intense. Last time here. Think about lengthening through your crown of your head as you rotate. And we'll bring that back to the center. And then coming back onto your side, and then we'll switch to your other side. Bending both knees just about 90 degrees, right in line with your hips. Resting that head all the way down on the bottom arm. And again, you can either rest the arm down on your belly if the shoulder is an issue, or you can reach your top arm straight out in front of you. Just remember to always keep your knees and your hips stacked one over the other. We're going to rotate the arm and the shoulder and the head and chest to open up towards the ceiling. And then bringing it back over. Think lengthening as we rotate. And back to the center. And one more time here. And we'll come over onto the side again. Now, since we're on our side, let's do a quick side lying leg lift. So we're going to keep our bottom leg bent just to stay nice and secure, kind of like a kickstand. And then our top leg is just going to extend straight out. We're going to try to lift the ribs that are touching the floor. We're going to tighten through those obliques, lift those ribs up off the floor, and then feel a shift through the whole top side of the body. It's as if someone was pulling our foot and trying to lengthen our leg. We're going to reach through our heel, and then we're going to lift that heel up. We're going to go 8 reps, just lifting and lowering. And I want you to keep that rib cage lifted, especially as the leg is going up. I don't want you to collapse into the ribs. Stay really nice and tight through the trunk, pulling that belly button in towards the spine. And then we're going to hold that leg up right at the same height as your hip, maybe slightly lower if that's feeling really difficult. We're going to kick the leg back behind the body a little teeny bit, start to bend the knee, and we're going to go bicycles 6 times forwards and 6 times backwards. Try to minimize movement in the torso. This gets a little bit tricky, but remember, scoop the belly towards the spine, use that top arm for stability, and bend your bottom leg if it's not bent already. We have one more here. We're going to bring that leg all the way straight back again to pause. And now we reverse. Straight leg coming forwards, bending in front, and we reverse that cycle for 5 more. Still pulling the belly in, still reaching top shoulder away from our ear. And we have 3 and 2. And 1 more. And relax it here. Beautiful work. Now we're going to go do the other side, but first let's do a quick back extension. We're going to roll onto our belly. We're going to take a goalpost shape arms like we did at the beginning, but we're face down. Legs are down, legs are relaxed. They can be however they feel most comfortable. And we're just going to start by lifting the head. Keep the chin tucked. Keep the nose pointing down at your mat. Keep the arms down for now. And just lift. Like you're making a double chin. Lower down. And lift. And lower. And lift. And lower. So it's just the head lifting. You're not lifting your chin up. The nose is pointing at the floor. Your gaze is down at the mat. Last two. And one. And we're going to add on to that. So lift the head. And then we're going to push into the palms. Start to lift the chest and straighten out the elbows. And the gaze is going to shift forward slightly. The hips stay on the floor, the belly stays on the floor, and then we bend the elbows, lowering them down, lowering the chest and the head. Starting again by lifting the head only, and then pushing into the palms, straightening the elbows out, rolling those shoulders and shoulder blades down your back, broaden your chest and look forwards, and then lowering back down. Let's do that 3 more times. Lift your head. Push into the palms, roll the shoulder blades down the back as you lift the chest, lift the gaze. So now your nose is pointing forwards. You're not trying to crane your neck and look up. Lowering back down. 2 more. Head first, but not lifting the nose or the chin. Keep that double chin. And then we push into the palms, straighten the elbows, broaden your chest and look forward. Lowering back down. Last one. Lifting the head. Push into those palms. Lift the chest. Shoulders roll down your back. And then rolling everything back down. Gorgeous. All right, now we're going to roll over to our other side. I'll flip this way so you can see me. And we'll go into our leg lifts and then finish with our bicycles. So rest your head all the way down. We're going to bend that bottom leg forwards like we did. Top leg reaching straight out at the same height as the hip. And then we'll take the rib cage that's touching the floor, lift it up. Feel that nice tightness around the rib cage, the belly pulling in. And then we're going to shift that hip, reaching out like someone's pulling your leg, but you're going to do it. You're going to reach that leg out. And then we're going to go 8 times, just a teensy-tiny lift, and lift, and lift. This is 4, and 5, 3 more, and 2, and 1 more, and hold it here. Now, back a little bit, and then we bicycle. Bend and cycle through, really holding the belly in, maybe hand on the floor for more support. And you're not going to hold the leg super high, but I want you to keep your leg at the same height. So even if you're just grazing over the floor, or if you're able to keep it up at the same height as your hip, I don't want you to be lifting and lowering. We have 1 more forward circle, cycle, and then we pause behind and we reverse forwards and reach back. And 5, reaching top shoulder away from the ear, 4, and 3, and 2, and 1 more time, and relax it here. Gorgeous. Tap that hip out. And we're going to finish with some sit-up with rotation. So you're going to come back onto your back, and then we'll finish with a little bit of relaxation and breathing. So we're coming back into our knees bent, feet flat position. We want to get our neutral pelvic position as well. So let's go feet and knees together. We'll take our toes apart, knees fall out, lift those heels, shift them behind the toes so we have that nice hips width distance. Let's rock that pelvis back and forth a couple times to find our neutral. And then we're going to take both hands starting behind the head, elbows coming up slightly, chin is lifted. Deep breath in. Exhale to lift head and chest up to the center. Inhale, right arm comes straight up, and we're going to reach our right shoulder up and across towards the left side. Inhale, center, and switch. Left arm up, reaching across to that right side. Inhale, center, exhale, rotate. So we're just alternating here. Keep that head and chest lifted if you can. If not, you can come down for a quick rest as you inhale, and then lift and reach. Inhale down, exhale, lift and reach. Just try to keep those hips in your neutral. Do not let the hips rotate. We have 2 more times for each side, breathing deeply. Exhale to reach across. Inhale, center. Exhale, reaching across. Inhale, center, and 1 more time each side. Back to the center, and floating that head and chest down. And then we're going to let those legs stretch all the way out. Let those arms reach up by the ears or maybe out to a T position for a little bit more of a chest and pec stretch. And just let the ribs fill, let the belly even fill with air. And I just want you to close your eyes for a second. We're going to go through the whole body scan. We're going to start by squeezing the eyes really, really tight. And then just release them. And then we're going to squeeze our nose and clench our jaw. And release. And then we're going to lift our shoulders up towards our ears. And release. And then make a fist and kind of feel your biceps and your arms tightening. And release. And as you exhale, feel your belly tightening and release. And then we're going to squeeze our glutes. And release. And then squeezing your quads. So trying to feel your legs really straighten out, your kneecaps sliding up your thighs. And release. And then flexing your ankles, trying to tighten your calves. And release it. And then just curling your toes really tight. And release. And then just shake those legs out. Shake those arms out. Maybe wiggle the fingers and toes. Maybe gently rock your head from right to left. And then we're going to bring the eyes open. Bring the right leg up to the chest. Bring the left leg up to the chest. Take those knees nice and wide like happy baby. Feeling a little stretch on those adductors, those inner thighs. Maybe a big stretch. If you don't feel a big stretch and you want more of a stretch, you can grab the outsides of your feet and use those arms to drive the knees down by the sides. And maybe we start rocking side to side a little bit here to deepen that stretch. Just opening through those hips a little bit more. And then we'll release those feet, hug those knees back into the center of the chest, lifting the head and chest up. We'll rock it back and forth along the spine, and we're eventually going to come up to a sitting position, and that's okay. If you need your hands, just go ahead and reach back onto those elbows. Push yourself back up to a comfortable sitting position, and we'll finish here with a couple breaths. Just letting those shoulders roll back. Just letting them melt down away from the ears. Feeling those sit bones rooting down into the ground or into your block or your seat, wherever you're sitting. And then feeling the belly nice and active, pulling inwards and pulling upwards. I like to call it a zipper. Just kind of lengthening you there. But feeling that opposition. So again, your tail, that root, And then the abs lifting and lengthening, the crown reaching up tall. We'll take our arms reaching nice and wide, fingertips spreading. Deep breath in. And then just let the shoulders fall down, let the arms fall down. Inhale, reaching up. Let those shoulders fall down, let the arms float down. I'll do one more time here. Inhale, reaching up. We'll bring those palms together overhead. Draw them down to heart center. Give yourself a bow of thanks. And high fives. Thanks for joining me today, y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay well.